Good afternoon, Ultimate Family. Welcome to another beautiful day in Coquina Key, St. Petersburg, Florida. Whew! I'm about 72 hours into my fast, so the brain is a little fuzzy. We'll see how we do today. See how the live goes. Today was an interesting day, as those of you who have been following the lives this week might remember. This is a rare non-coaching week. Very few coaching clients, and I booked up this week to do a lot of outreach, connect calls with folks, enrolling for my Creating Your Extraordinary Life experience, the group program I run. I got 8 or 9 or 10 more cohorts this year. I'm looking to fill those. And just doing outreach and connecting with folks and nurturing relationships. I think the current total is about 37 scheduled calls this week. So busy week. Today was interesting because it was the first time that I had no shows. No show, no call. And that usually happens. A while back, I used to study this with a little more granularity, and best practices, for a no-show rate are around 10-15%, right? Meaning no matter what you do, you will have 10 to 15% of folks no-show from existing relationships. I'm not talking about cold calling or things like that. So not bad, but it always gets me thinking, right? Here I am on one side of the Zoom, and 1 minute passed, 2 minute passed, 3 minute passed. My rule is 5 minutes. Once it clicks over to 6 minutes, I'm out. I close down the Zoom. Now the truth is, if I really want to talk to somebody, I'll send them a text if I'm like highly motivated. But for the most part, when you rack and stack them, it's actually nice to get a little break, get a restroom break or some food. Not that I'm eating. But it always gets me thinking when I run into this phenomenon about what life must look like on the other side for the person that I'm interacting with. How they must be being and how the world must occur for them, right? Like, something's in my calendar, I show up. Like, everything goes through my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it basically doesn't happen. And if it's on my calendar, it happens, right? That to me is so fundamental. So what you hear from people are things like, oh, I forgot, or I was double booked, or all sorts of things, which again are odd. This is on your calendar, right? If you had to pick your kid up from school and that was on your calendar, you'd be there, right? If it was a dentist appointment, well, actually, the appointment thing is funny because having been to a number of, let's call them doctor or other appointments in the last month, I'm pretty astounded at how rigorous people are. Hey, Lindsay, good afternoon. With the follow-ups, and even restaurants, like, you got to call and text this, and if you don't say yes in 15 minutes, we're going to kill your reservation. Man, it must be an epidemic, right? Everybody's busy. Everybody's overbooked, overcommitted. And that's the problem, right? I put a post up not long ago, or a video or something, I don't know. And I said, running late or missing meetings is like the check engine light on your car, right? We've all been driving. Check engine light comes on, right? It doesn't mean the car's blowing up, but something's going on. And I really think about it that way. Showing up late, running late. Oh, sorry, running late for meeting to meeting, or it skipped my mind. Hey, Shauna. Well, that's like the check engine light on your vehicle. That is a symptom of something going awry, something not working. And yes, there's a lot of people, certainly a lot of Lyft drivers, it seems, who just drive around with the check engine light, don't think anything of it. So a lot of people are just kind of going through their lives, getting through every week. Well, I was late to 90% of the meetings on my calendar, and I missed 20 of them, 20%. And they keep waking up, wash, rinse, repeat, and do the same thing next week. But it's the check engine light. It's a sign, it's a symbol. Something isn't working. And it's a very innocuous symbol. It's easy to ignore. And in fact, I would say it's become so acceptable, right? People show up 5-10 minutes late to a meeting. It's not even, hey, Joe, it's not even something to acknowledge. I'm sorry I'm late, right? That's not an apology. That's just like, I don't know what that is. And I want to be clear. I'm not judging anybody or making them wrong or saying, what the hell's wrong with these people? I genuinely have compassion, right? I don't like being late anywhere. I like being early, right? I'll be the guy at the airport 2.5 hours for his flight, through security, checked in, all ready to go. I don't like rushing. I don't like stressing. So I create my life and I create my being so that is what happens. And you look at a lot of people, hey there, and their lives are so packed and they're always packing more in. So it's not really a surprise that they're running late. One of my clients, we were talking a couple weeks ago, and he was wrestling with and frustrated by his inability to fulfill on his agreements. I said I would do this, didn't do it, and some of these were with me, so we were talking about it. I should say with our work together. And I said, well, let's take a look at this, because he's like, well, I gotta manage my time better. And I said, dude, I know that's not the problem. You know how I know? Well, how do you know? Well, because we both have the same amount of time. You and me. We both have the same amount of time, which is all the time in the world, right? It's how we use it. So we think we have a time management problem. We don't. It's got to be something else. So the question I asked him was, lots of dings and stuff going on. The question I asked him was, what gets done and what do you show up on time for? Right? Because if we, and I'm enrolling you in this, so feel free to take a look. If we look at our lives, we're not late to everything. We don't miss everything. We don't get everything not done. There's things that get done and things that, didn't get done again. There's things we show up to without fail, and there's things that we miss. So I said, well, let's look at that. What gets done? What do you show up for? And as he started to, think about it and catalog, it was very clear. He shows up for and gets done things where if he doesn't, he's going to look bad. Where somebody's counting on him that he cares about not disappointing him. And the big insight was he shows up on time and gets things done when it's for somebody else, when it's not for him. So we used that to look at who he was being, who he had to be being, such that that's what got done. How must the being create itself? Who must he be being such that he shows up on time for this? That's not going to not happen, right? That's going to happen. And who must he be being? How must he be creating himself such that these other things are like variable? But yet he's saying yes to them, right? What we got to quite simply was this wasn't a time problem or a time management problem. It was a commitment problem. What are you committing yourself to? And why is there resistance to saying, no, I won't be doing that? Right? One of my favorite lines from Steve is, you can count on me not to do that or not to be there or whatever he says. Right? It's a great line. I use it all the time, and I'm not being snarky. I'm not being rude. I'm letting them know you have my commitment to not do that. Other people go, oh, let me write that down. You have my commitment, and they think it's like a technique. It's not. It got to come from who you're being. Who am I being that I say yes to things that I don't want to do? I'm not sure I can do. I'll ditch if something better comes along. Right? I've seen people agree with me to meeting me someplace, and I catch something about they got another meeting across town or someplace far away, 15 minutes. I said, well, hold on. You just said yes to that. Didn't you just say you got a meeting, Oh, yeah, well, it's a 30-minute drive. Unless you got some other transportation I don't know about, that's a 30-minute drive. You're saying yes to something that there's no physical way you can even do. That is a check engine light. That's not somebody being stupid, right? These are smart people. That's not somebody being rude. That's somebody, the way the being is functioning, they can't even say, no, I can't do that, when it's physically impossible. There's no time management class in the world that's going to help with that. You would have to look at the being that says yes to things, the being that can't say no, the being that feels FOMO all the time. And you have to work at that level. You don't need another book on time management or listen to a podcast on this stuff. It's ridiculous. Time management is simple, right? We all have the same calendar. You put it in a calendar. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who would you have to be to say, as I have several times this week, hey, we're coming up on 5 minutes to the end of the call. I have another call coming, right? I don't care how good the conversation's going, how much I'm thinking they're going to want to work with me, or, right? Hey, we're going to be done in 5 minutes. How do you want to close us out? But people don't. They'll talk all the way up to, right? And again, these are not dumb people or disrespectful people. We like to label folks and make it about, well, that's disrespectful. Disrespectful is the judgment we put on their behavior, but their behavior is a function of who they're being, right? I remember I did some consulting with a company once. The CEO would call a meeting for 30 minutes. Hour and a half later, he's still talking. Everybody's sitting there, missing meetings that they had on their calendar. He'd call a meeting for 30 minutes. I said, okay, guys, I allotted 30 minutes. See you next time. And everybody would look at me like I was crazy. Well, he's still talking. Yeah, wonderful. Well, I know who I'm being, and I got another commitment. I agreed to give you 30 minutes. I'm not better than anybody there. I'm not superior. I just notice when the check engine light comes on, and I say, well, what do I need to do to work with that? Right? Even if you work at this company, right? Well, you would eventually get the idea that the CEO always talks longer. You would go into a 30-minute meeting. No, so if you called a 30-minute meeting, you'd know it'd be 2 hours. You wouldn't book anything else. This wouldn't surprise you again and again. So, again, I'm not saying look at these behaviors and judge yourself, right? Everything you're doing, all the actions you're taking, are the right actions from who you're being. They're not disrespectful, inappropriate, or wrong actions. They're the right actions from how the world is occurring for you. This is why working at the level of being is so powerful. So I'm not saying look at where you're running late and then beat yourself up and try to fix the problem. Like, what am I doing wrong? I am saying if you're running late to things, if you're making commitments, you're constantly having to change at the last minute. If you're missing meetings, notice that. That is information the universe is giving you to help you learn what's going on in here. And you can ask the question, who am I being that's happening? Who would I need to be that I always showed up on time? Right? Who would I need to be that I said no to things that I don't want to do or don't have the time for? Right? And you look at that and you ask that question, and you'll see what you see. You won't need a technique. The world will just start to shift. So that's what's on my mind today. Hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Any support I can provide or any questions you have about this, I know it can seem a little abstract. Feel free to shoot me a message, and love to support you on your journey. Have an amazing day.